Welcome to the Next Gen Environmental Firm, the show where we talk with leaders building the future of sustainability, energy efficiency, smart technology, and explore how they're scaling their impact. Today, I'm talking with Managing Director Charles Ross and Sales Director Jonathan Shafai from Clever Center, the team behind Vortex-Tract and smart sensors and even more innovations. Looking forward to hearing from you today, helping the UK cut energy waste and move towards a greener future. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for inviting us today.
Brilliant. So to start, could you tell me the story behind the Clever Center and what is your day-to-day look like in the company?
I guess that depends on who you ask. The story behind Clever Center is the fact that we needed a vehicle through which to promote some of the innovations that we were developing. And that name came around as a matter of much debate and an argument between probably about 7 or 8 of us. And we just decided that if we settled on a name, we might stop arguing about it. So Clever Center was the title of choice. And we thought, well, what we're doing here is, pretty smart, and we're developing some pretty interesting technology. So we decided to settle on that name.
No, that's brilliant. So what your day look like, and week, what you do every day?
I'm looking at dealing with a lot of corporate and compliance type issues. So I'm always trying to make sure that we have technology which is going to be acceptable to industry and is going to actually have an impact on what we do. Jonathan, I don't want to speak for him, but he's on the phone all day talking to people who want to buy it.
Yeah, my role is obviously very different to Charles. My role is about reaching out to new potential clients through networking, through being proactive. We've got some fantastic opportunities that are bubbling away at the moment. We've had a great impact on educational organisations, so schools, colleges, universities, also in the care industry as well. Care homes consume, considerable amounts of energy every single day, and we're making fantastic inroads into that market as well.
Brilliant. That's great. Now, I will try to explain in my own words, about your Vortex-Tract. And, you tell me if I'm getting really wrong and correct me, okay? So, the Vortex-Tract is heating system optimizing device designed by yourselves and reducing gas consumption by 10-20% by removing unwanted gases and sludge from the wet heating system. So I had to look up what this wet heating system is because for me it's new. Okay, boiler heats, hot water flows through the pipes, radiators release heat, and room warm up. Right? That's kind of system in simple ways, right? And it's a bolt-on technology, meaning it's attached to an existing heating system without requiring replacement of boilers, radiators, or pipework, which is amazing. Now, my question is, how it's bolt-on and where is bolt-on? To which part of the system?
You're absolutely right. The unit is a retrofit device. It will fit onto the pipework of any commercial, or we have a smaller unit which is for domestic heating systems. And what it basically does is optimize the way in which the heat is transferred from the system into the environment to reduce energy consumption. I'm happy to go into more detail as to how that's achieved and what that means. But in terms of where we put the unit, it will fit onto the pipework on either the flow or the return side. As you know, the water flows into the radiator and then it flows out of the radiators or the underfloor heating system back into the boiler to be reheated. We don't have any particular preference as to where it sits physically because it will continue to operate effectively in any location. But as long as it's on the main flow of water that's being used as the heat transfer mechanism, then the device will be effective.
Oh, okay. So is it the device and system is very small? What size? Or it is like boiler size?
Well, it depends on the size of the system it's going on to. We have 3 different sizes of device. The biggest device is a 2-inch or 54mm aperture. And that's the standard pipe size in the UK that places like, hospitals and care homes will use. for distributing to radiator zones. So that's the reason for that. In a house, it's much smaller. It's a quarter of that size. It's 22 mil, and in some cases even 15 mil. Well, those devices wouldn't be sufficient to be able to work inside a larger building, but having said that, a larger device would be overkill for a smaller building. So we accommodate the system onto which we're fitting our unit. And we do that by looking at the pipework that we have to connect to.
Okay, I'm picturing that. I understand. So what about smart sensors? Could you describe what it is and what it does, and how it helps to people and companies?
Okay, well, smart sensors are, I know that everyone talks about AI-powered devices these days. Unfortunately, ours is also AI-powered. It effectively connects to any device or any meter or any component of the environment. And what it does is it monitors and measures how the environment's being used, who is using the environment, and can give you a control over the way in which the heating system is optimized and used in that given building. So, for example, if you have a meeting room or the meeting room's on a calendar, there's no reason why you should be heating the room and wasting energy if no one's using it. And likewise, when people are moving around the building, we can see which areas need more concentrated effort. And in some cases, where we can, for example, turn the lights on and off if people aren't moving in and out of an environment. We have behavioral context. So a lot of companies, when they try and put these kind of measures in place, and there are other people that are looking at this kind of tech as well, is that the heating system is optimized, but rather than turning down the thermostat so that you're using less energy, people will just open the window because it's getting too warm. That, of course, means that you're not saving the energy you should. So by using a system like Smart Sensor, which is an intelligent and control system, it will actually intervene, it will step in and operate. Then rather than people opening the windows, it will control the thermostat and it will enable you to get a much better picture as to how the energy is being used for optimization purposes.
That's great. Now, so you shared just now that schools, universities, care homes, hotels proactively reaching you out as well, and for the system to install in their buildings. So why do you think these sectors are resonating so strongly with your solutions?
Primarily because it's unique. What we're offering works in conjunction with other solutions as well. So if you have, chemical additives in some instances where you have water which needs treatment, it doesn't have a problem working with the Vortex-Tract device. But the Vortex-Tract device, over and above things like controllers, over and above things like radiator management, still manages to reduce the energy consumption because of the way in which it optimizes the system. It's the only solution that we're aware of that enables you to remove the insulating layer of gases within the water itself, dissolved in the water, which anyone who has studied chemistry will come across Henry's law and will appreciate that, enables you to get more thermal transfer by removing that layer of insulation that the boiler has to overcome by constantly cycling and wasting energy. When that stops, we get an increase in heat transfer, we get a reduction in energy consumption, and that happens irrespective of any other measures on the system. So we have a unique proposition in terms of how we improve efficiency within a given heating environment. And not only that, but if you're a school or if you're a charitable institution, we also have ways of funding the installation and funding the provision of the equipment so that it actually ensures that these institutions can get an uptake on our technology without being hindered by the financial burden, and they get those savings straight away.
Oh, that's very good. I bet it's big support for these kind of institutions. Jonathan, in our pre-call, you mentioned as well that diesel is going up significantly, gas prices doubling. How is this shaping the conversations you're having with organizations?
It's something that's coming up time and time again, especially with the increasing gas prices. So the wholesale price of gas has doubled in the past sort of 8-9 weeks. That is obviously going to be impacting people over the next, I think, in the UK from July onwards, because the current energy cap is basically null and void from the 1st of July, sorry. It's something that people are conscious of, and it shows us volatility in the marketplace as well. And if somebody's having an increase in their gas prices or their heating prices because of what's happening, then they're still going to receive that sort of 10 to 20% reduction by using our technology. So that impact of that increase is less harmful to that business if they use Vortex-Tract moving forward.
Okay. So a Clever Center talks a lot about cutting energy waste and giving people real-time insight into their usage. What major shifts are you seeing in how organization thinks about energy efficiency today?
Well, there's two camps on that one. There's energy efficiency in terms of cost and in terms of environmental control. So we find that there are people who are interested in carbon reduction, and there are people who are looking at the sort of green and the sustainability angle. And then there are other companies that are more focused upon the financial element of it. And the disparity here is that the sort of sustainability people tend to think, well, this is the most important aspect, and regardless of what it costs, we have to address this. But of course, it has to be paid for. And yet, on the other hand, we have people saying, well, we want to save money. We recognize that we're going to reduce our carbon emissions, but that is our fundamental, sort of motivation. And we don't mind which camp people are talking about, because we're actually reducing the energy consumption anyway. So if we're reducing the amount of energy that's being consumed by a given system by 20%, if you want to focus on the sustainability aspect of it, work in terms of how much carbon we're going to be saving, that's fine. And if you want to work out the cost savings as a result of that, then that's also fine. So we generally let people lead us in terms of that conversation. But what I'm finding more and more is that the sustainability is becoming very much more separated from the cost-saving aspect. And as a commercial environment, which we're dealing with on a constant basis, it's the cost-saving element where we're getting the best response.
We're based in North England, in North Manchester. We've been incredibly fortunate. We've been invited to join the green economy. Manchester has a target to be net zero by 2038, which seems like such a long time in the future. It's 12 years. It's not a long time. So what we're doing, or what we're offering, is giving people an opportunity to get on that sustainability sort of train and help them reduce their consumption now.
Great. Actually, that was my next question, but thank you for answering.
Apologies.
Looking in your company today, so what's working particularly well for Clever Center right now, whether it's in product adoption, partnerships, or customer engagement?
Mostly it's partnerships, and the fact that we have created a model where engagement is not restricted by finance. So we have, specifically for education, but it sort of works in charities and other things as well. We have a model whereby if you don't have any money to be able to spend on the technology where you want to engage with it, that we will actually, by calculating the savings that we can generate over a period of 5 or 10 years, work out how we can share those savings to pay for the equipment so that you can take the equipment on straight away. And whilst you might be getting 10% or 12% rather than 20% or 22%, you're still going to get that benefit. And of course, the carbon reduction, because it's based on consumption, still hits that 20% level. So we can effectively talk to anybody and say, look, if you want to save a fifth on your carbon emissions and you want to reduce those, and you want to save around 10% on your cost of energy, then we can still help you. And we can do that without any upfront cost. So we've done that as a specific model to enable us to open doors that would otherwise have potentially been closed.
Okay. Now, on the flip side, what has been frustrating or challenging as you scale?
Probably the most frustrating thing is the fact that we don't have manufacturing in-house yet. So we're basically using partnerships to get our products built. And that, because it was relying upon steel suppliers, because we're relying upon their availability in terms of resource and their order books, can sometimes mean that we have to be patient in terms of how we can get our equipment produced and the manner by which we can get this stuff available. And so one of the things that we're looking at for the future is actually bringing that manufacturing process in-house. But apart from that, I say we just kind of get on with it, don't we?
Oh, that's great. That's great. Good to see that, scaling in really efficient way. So you just touched about the future, and what do you want Clever Center to be in the next 6 to 12 months, especially with your projection of crossing £1 million by March 2027?
Well, we are hoping that we're going to be given certain accreditations. There are organisations in the UK that will certificate devices as being capable of reducing energy consumption and carbon benefit. And as soon as we get those sorts of accreditations, which of course, because we're relatively new, we've been around for just less than 2 years still, we will be able to open doors that would otherwise be more difficult to get involved with. I'm also looking at expanding the way in which we can use the Vortex-Tract device. So, for instance, at the moment we're focused on heating systems, but we also know from initial trials that it has a very positive effect on air conditioning. So if we can actually work with cooling systems as well as with heating systems, then we've kind of got the entire planet covered, which is a very exciting opportunity for us.
No, that's brilliant. So when this new invention, new technology is coming through, when are you seeing this will be on the market?
I would like to see the air conditioning systems on the market before the end of this year. That would be great. They're certainly going to be available by next year. And what I'm also finding is we're finding specific niche markets and opportunities for the smart sensor devices, for the AI devices, which we would never have come up with if it weren't for people saying, I've had a look at your stuff on the internet. Could you adapt it to do this? And of course, these things lead to other interesting conversations. So we're at the moment talking to one company about managing Legionella control and water purification solutions. Because we have the technology to do that, we just didn't realize that this was a high demanded environment. So, these are things that we get involved in and investigate all the time.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I would love to have, your systems in my house too, because it's really saving energy, not changing any.
Long enough for another conversation.
Yeah, we might have a deal by then.
Yeah.
I've worked in sales all my career. This is the only company I've worked for where I can walk into the MD's office and have a discussion about anything. And it is an open forum as well, where I can suggest ideas. Charles tells me that they're the wrong ideas, and he puts the ideas. Oh, but the point, but all jokes aside, there's an open door policy here where we can all talk about things openly and put suggestions forward. And this is the only company I work for from a sales point of view where you can have that input as well, which is, in my eyes, quite unique. And also, I have to say, personally, I'm really, really pleased about that as well.
Right. When you talk to your potential customers, what stops them, the decision making, or stops them as a consideration or to proceeding with your innovations? Or that is not a question. Once they hear what you're offering, is like, yes, we're going for it.
Again, I've worked in sales all my career, and when you work in sales, you don't win every deal. That just doesn't happen. Here, I'm yet to have somebody turn around and say, no, I'm not interested. Just don't have that. We have, Charles mentioned before about people sort of fall into two camps. We've got the people that say, well, this is a no-brainer. Let's go ahead. Let's do it. And then you've got the other ones that are slightly more cautious. But who doesn't want to save sort of 10, 20% on their energy bill? Who doesn't want to cut their carbon footprint by sort of 22%, 20%? Everybody else wants to do that, especially in the UK where sustainability is a hot topic. I mean, we've been fortunate to work with the Department of Energy Security and Net Zero, which is Ed Miliband's department, and they've been incredibly helpful. They're looking to do a showcase as well, to showcase our technology as well, which will be, again, another sort of tick in the box for us as well moving forward.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's really good because people need to hear what you have, really. Now, what success looks like for you in the 1 to 3 or 5 years?
Pina coladas on the beach. Yeah, so I'm all More of that. Well, in all seriousness, I would like to see. I'd like to see the technology adopted by, a certain minimum number of clients. We have a target figure in mind, and if we can achieve that target figure, it would still only be scratching the surface of the potential of what the device can do. And it may be at that point, and I say this with sort of mixed feelings, really. It may be at that point when it's time for somebody else to take my place, because I can't necessarily grow the business to a point where they might be able to. I'm not deluded into thinking that I'm some sort of Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk. I'm happy to defer to those with greater experience than I have. But certainly, for the time being, we're having a good time with doing this, and as long as it remains fun, then that's really what matters.
Oh, that's fantastic. Are you planning to expand to other countries than UK, like in Europe or USA?
We're already looking at that. I mean, one of the products that Vortex-Tract variants is very, very capable of taking is underfloor heating systems. And there's a particular problem with underfloor heating systems that we are uniquely in a position to solve. So if you think very briefly, I'll try not to bore you with this, and if you think that you've got underfloor heating systems, basically a hose pipe full of hot water, and the gases that are trained and dissolved in the water have the same problem, the same effect as they do in a radiator. But obviously, when you're using something like an air source heat pump, you've got to have a much bigger surface area because the system is running generally cooler. Now, when you put a radiator and turning a floor into a radiator, making it sort of horizontal, as the air rises, of course, it rises against the entire surface area of the radiator. If you have a standard vertical radiator, it rises to the top, and the top portion might be cold, but the rest of it's actually still relatively warm. When this happens with underfloor heating, it stops working completely. You get very, very cold areas on the room. It takes ages to warm up. Some parts might be warm and others will be cold if the room flooring isn't quite flat, because the air will rise to where the highest point. And of course, these are very expensive systems. I don't know what the dollar value would be necessarily, but in Europe and in the UK, you can pay £10,000 to £15,000 for an air source heat pump, and then you can pay another £4,000 or £5,000. That would be about $8,000 or $9,000 to have the underfloor heating system installed, and then it doesn't work. So you spent a huge amount of money on a system that actually isn't delivering the warmth and the heat you wanted in the environment. And yet, we've come along and we've got a little unit that we're charging £900 for, about $1,200 to $1,500, and then everything works perfectly from that point forward. Now, if you spend the best part of $15,000 or £20,000 or $20,000 on a heating system, and for £900 or $900 you can come along and we can actually install something that makes sure it never has those problems, then we're solving a different level of issue. We're not actually now in the market of saving people money and energy, although it will. We're in the market of making the system operate the way that it should. And that is a huge potential opportunity for us. There's 25 million underfloor heating systems installed across Europe, primarily in Italy and France and Germany and the UK, and everyone's complaining about it. So give us a call, we can fix it.
Unlimited opportunities for you, for sure. And especially knowing that Europe and UK really take care and looking into sustainability for the long term, and they looking into technologies to help them reduce energy costs and usage.
Yeah, I mean, these air source heat pumps and these underfloor heating systems, when they work, they're fabulous. But the trouble is that they have these recurring problems, and if every 8 to 12 weeks you have to call out an engineer to have the air move through because the system is not working properly, and that costs you, $150 every time that happens, and then 8 weeks to 12 weeks later, you've got to do it again. Well, we can fix that. So we're looking at areas in the market where our technology can be applied and can generally save people a great deal of pain.
Yeah. What is longevity of your system? It's like, because as you just mentioned, some system is broken. What is the lifetime?
A lifetime of the Vortex-Tract unit is made out of 316 duplex steel, so it's about probably 50 years or more, because it won't rust. But of course, the other thing that it does is by removing all of those dissolved gases, it prevents corrosion and rust. So the lifetime of your heating system is increased by somewhere between 40 and 60%. simply by having one of these units fitted. So you don't only save money on the energy consumed, you save money on the maintenance as well.
Right. That is important. That's really important, that part. Now, if you could solve one major challenge today, whether operational, marketing, or technical, what would it be?
Obviously, you said if I could solve one major challenge, for me, that would be getting out of bed in the morning. But then you qualify and you buy something technical. I better make this sound more industrial. I'm happy with where we're going. I mean, we're quite responsive. But the whole smart sensor device came out around a conversation I had with people we were actually talking to about the Vortex-Tract device. And they said, well, our biggest problem actually is being able to refill boilers without having to call out a plumber. If you could automate that and provide us with some kind of monitoring system and notification, then we want it in every building. And that's what led to that development. So constantly saying to people, okay, we've got this, but what really hurts right now, what do you want us to help you with, is where we find our innovations being driven. We don't get out there and say to people, let's invent this and hope somebody likes it. We go out there and we sort of say, what's really causing you a problem right now? What do you want to get rid of as a pain point?
Okay, yes, that makes sense. Do you see AI and automation becoming a bigger part of Clever Center's roadmap?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the way AI is working at the moment, we've already built a number of applications which we use in-house, which have increased our efficiency internally in terms of our own processes dramatically. I'm now looking at maybe developing digital products which can be part of Clever Center's portfolio. So it's not simply a matter of physically bolting on things to an environment or using electronic sensors or what have you. It's whether or not we can actually provide tools that would benefit industry generally and which may well work in tandem with our own equipment as well.
So I have a last question. So is there any other technologies you implementing within your operations and outside of your innovations too?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I'd like to bring manufacturing in-house. I'd like to have more control over that part of the process and also to be able to increase the value of the business by producing its own technologies rather than relying on third-party systems. And we have a fairly hefty testing regime, which we're involved with the University of Greater Manchester, who provide us with their objective view and the credibility to say our technologies operate and they work in certain ways. So, yes, I'm looking forward to improving and increasing the amount of work that we put through those guys as well, especially as we start to look at other environments like air conditioning units, for instance. And, we've been introduced recently to printing and dyeing, and there are other instances in the food industry where we can apply our technology as well. So we've got an awful lot of potential, which remains largely unexplored due to lack of resource. It would be nice to be able to expand into those things organically and then see where we can take the business.
Okay, brilliant. Well, Jonathan, Charles, this has been fantastic. And thank you for sharing such a clear and practical insights about your technology and in your company.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on the Next Gen Environmental Firm. A huge thank you to our speakers. If you enjoyed this episode, follow the show for the more conversations with leaders shaping the environmental sector. Until the next time, keep building the future.